In the AI world, there's one rule to govern everything else. People first, always. My guest today, Klint Rudolph, talks about the AI Manifesto that they've adopted at the Xcite Group.
People first, always. AI gets sold as a shortcut to efficiency, right? But the uncomfortable truth is that when we're doing this internally and I'm doing it with clients, many companies don't even know how their work gets done.
Klint walks us through his strategy to keep humans at the center of their ethos and build the AI around it. If you're a marketing agency, there's lots of revenue and relationships and stickiness that you're missing out on because you're not adopting a few key principles in your organization.
Knowledge lives in silos. If you don't figure out how the work happens, I can't train the AI to be good. It's going to be bad, and it's going to be a chatbot like everything else, and people are going to be like, this AI sucks, it doesn't work. But the AI sucks. It's because you didn't you didn't train it how to do its job. You have to treat AI like you would a real person. We always say two things have to be true. Top down and bottom up bubbling. That's the magic happens in the middle.
A company is built on people and processes, and by eliminating one or the other, it could lead to absolute chaos. This is a high-energy, fun conversation for the agency operator who's looking to dominate and grow their people in the AI era. I'm Austin Willman, and this is eCoffee with Experts. Person who is responsible using AI responsibly is not replacing those things with technology or with a robot. Do you have a different perspective?
No, I completely agree. To me, using it responsibly is, we talked about it a little pre-podcast, right? Like humans provide the spark, let AI do the grinding, right? We as humans do not, in my opinion, not all of us maximize the amount of creativity, compassion, empathy that we could, because we're busy doing stuff that it has to get done, but it's not fun. It's not creative. I'm not actually moving the needle by doing this thing. It's just a thing that has to get done. And so for me, that's 100% what responsibly means, right? Like I have approached my team, and we when we started this journey, we created an Excite AI Manifesto, which was really people-powered, tech amplified, right? And so what does that mean? We want to create an internal voice, some standards, and some expectations about how we are going to use AI and how we should be talking to clients about using AI. And so that manifesto sort of sets some guidelines for the company to understand, listen, even if you're going to go play around in ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Codex, any of them, right? Understand what you're using it for, why you're using it, and use it responsibly, right? Like don't just, also to me, using it responsibly, topic for an entire different day that will, I'm sure, spark a bunch of people watching the podcast or listening to the podcast, but is it good for the planet? Right? Like the data centers and the amount of water it uses and that kind of thing. So also using it, in my mind, responsibly means don't hammer ChatGPT every day like you would Google, and like search the same way. So teaching people how to use it responsibly is also part of that responsibility edict, right? Like whenever there's a big shift, we should all be willing to ask big questions, right? It's the old Spider-Man thing: with great power comes great responsibility, right? And I think that's true. I think it's really true that when big shifts come, we have to be willing to ask big questions about it as well. Right? So the creative aspect, we always say we're human first, right? Human first. The challenge that we gave to some of our team members in the beginning was like, yeah, you want to vibe code this thing. Cool. I'm not using vibe code to replace the creativity of my designers for building websites, but there are some raw code and some JavaScript libraries that I can just have it do, right? So it was like, come up with one thing in your department that will give you more time to be more creative, more compassionate, more empathetic to our clients, and create something that causes friction in your day that disrupts that. And so every department just sort of went and hammered on and had, we had a million ideas. It was awesome. And one of the things that we created internally for our teams, we do a lot of programmatic advertising. And I run all that. I run the DSP, so OTT, streaming audio, geofencing, all of that kind of stuff. It's an enormous product set with lots of different pricing, with lots of different rules, with lots of different ad requirements. And all of that lived mostly in my brain, because as we're an SEO agency, a pay-per-click agency, a development agency, an AI forward agency, it is impossible for a salesperson to know all of that. So I was spending roughly 18 to 20 hours a week We use a task management system called Trello. And all of my sales team would be like, hey, Klint, client's interested in OTT. Tell me what I need to do. Tell me what the requirements are. 20 hours a week I was spending. So one of my ideas was I spun up an agent that they all have access to that is literally trained on my brain, created a JSON file of all of our training documents and fed it to this thing and gave it some guardrails. It doesn't get to search the internet, all sorts of stuff. And it is literally saving me that 18 to 20 hours a week I'm not spending anymore because the team can go ask it whatever they want and it will actually build a proposal for them and go, here's exactly why you should do it. If they can come to it and say, X client does search, does SEO, does social with us, but they're still looking for more visibility, more leads, more revenue. What are some programmatic ideas that would be good? They're a plumber, they're in this geography, and it will literally spit back and give you 4 options and be like, but for the budget, this is where I think the best bang for this client is based on their website, blah, blah, blah. And so literally it was real problem solving for our team because not only did it save me time, but I'm busy as a founder, right? I'm busy doing working on the business, sometimes in the business, right? So the inefficiency of that task hitting me today while I'm on this podcast with you and I have 2 more meetings after this, I'm not going to get to that task till tomorrow morning. Then I'm going to put in my response and my sales team's busy. So they're not going to get back to me on my questions until 2 days later. So now instead of us getting a client an immediate answer, we've wasted a week of all of our times doing it. That was a real friction that we had to solve for.
Yeah. I mean, 2% of a year, like when you're looking at business numbers, is no joke, right? 2%, like 1 week is 2%. You mentioned a couple things here. The AI manifesto is, if you look at the people who are kind of on the forefront of AI for business, that's the cornerstone. Like that's the first thing to put in place. What are your standards? What are your expectations? Like, how do you use this, and how do we, as a group of people under a values system that we call a company, approach this new technology? And I I think we're on the same page. Well, I know we're on the same page here that the responsibility is in the hands of the user to learn about the technology to use it appropriately, right? You're not going to give a buzz saw or like a chainsaw to a 14-year-old who has no idea how to use it. They have to read the instruction manual. And this was something that was coming through to me. I'm going through Anthropic's course, like AI fundamentals, AI foundations and frameworks. And I'm just realizing like how much there is to learn. I've been using AI for a year or more, but just going through that now and understanding like, oh man, I thought I was good at using AI. I've built apps and whatever. There's a lot to learn. How do you approach that with your team? What sort of education do you give them and how do you encourage them to do so?
Well, our core philosophy is where it starts, and that literally is boiled up in 3 words. People first, always.
Mm,
Right? People
mm,
first, always. AI gets sold as a shortcut to efficiency, right? But the uncomfortable truth is that when we're doing this internally and I'm doing it with clients, many companies don't even know how their work gets done.
mm.
That's the big aha moment I had. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, how do you not know how your work gets done?" And that's
Yeah.
because processes live in silos,
Mm,
expertise walks out the door during turnover, right? The how behind decisions are rarely in some sort of system of record, right?
mm.
So much of how things get done aren't captured in systems. They're a result of how people interact with one another,
Yeah.
right? And so because of that, turning sort of tacit knowledge into explicit knowledge is a really critical step, or you're just going to be shooting in the dark, right? So that people first always is the guiding light, right? Understand how we interact with each other as people, how we get things done, and then let's figure out how AI can do some of the grinding on the friction, right? But
Mm,
people first always is where it starts. And then from there, it's like, I don't really care what your tool of choice is, right? Doesn't matter to me, but understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. Go experiment. Find a thing that will save you even 10 minutes of your day, right? A lot of people look at AI as like life changing, right? Like, I'm going to I'm going to create something that solves the water problem in certain countries, or I'm going to create a solution for world hunger. No, no. The jump that happens in little increments, especially as agencies. My job is to help make more money for my clients. And so the more I make them efficient, the more I teach them how to use these tools and teach them what their framework is, then I say, cool, that's an awesome. So in our onboarding, that's what I do. People is where the work gets done. So tell me
Mm,
about your process right now. I drive you a bunch of leads from pay per click or S. Someone comes to your website, they call you, right? Or they fill out a form. What is the process next? And what does that look like all the way to onboarding or getting the job done, right?
mm,
And so that's really part of our onboarding, is really struggling to listen to people on how their core business works and then going, awesome. Here's where I can insert an agent. Here's where I can insert an agent. And here's where I can insert an agent. And this is what it's going to do. And this is how it's going to communicate to the people that need to do the things.
mm. There's two aspects of this that I'm hearing. One is a traditional sense of marketing, which is like, okay, we need to attract the right people to the organization and then convert them so they cross the barrier into the organization from being a cold prospect, etc. That's one aspect. But now you're talking about operationally, once they do cross that threshold, what happens after that? And a traditional marketing agency, which may have only covered this first part, now you're kind of stepping into it almost sounds like a partner role where you're like, hey, I can help you out operationally. I can almost help you out with stuff that would typically be taken care of by HR because you're dealing with relationships and with people. How do you, I guess, propose that? And does it change the pricing? Like, what do packages look like?
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's it's really about where they want to start, right? So typically where I start is we've all seen typical chatbots. They're garbage, they're horrible, and they're
Hmm.
not good, right? And people know them right away, right?
Yeah.
We start with building a dedicated AI agent, and I've forbidden anyone in our company to call it a chatbot. It is not a chatbot. It is a fully functional, autonomous agent that I have given several guardrails. So that's
Mm,
usually where we start. And funny story of Sophia is the chat agent on our website. Sophia had a chat with an incoming client, an IT company that was looking for marketing help in Wisconsin. And Sophia went back and forth with her over the course of, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, and then emailed and texted the person because her job's to get contact information right away. Soft sell, we weave it into how their sales process goes to how the agent is going to act. But long story short, she sends a text and a follow up email. The woman emailed her back and said, thanks so much for following up with me. Today was awesome. I have some further questions. They wanted to sync up a billboard campaign that they were running with their paid search campaign. Well, my incoming salesperson, if they would have answered that call, would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? Sync up a physical, it's not even a digital like billboard. Like you're talking about a
yeah.
real billboard? Like what are you
Yeah.
getting at? Sophia goes back and forth with her over email for 4 weeks. 4 weeks. The woman sent her their target audience, sent her a picture of the billboard, sent her some metrics on their Google Ads campaign. Sophia's going back and forth with her. And it finally gets to the point where Sophia's like, sweet, I think you're ready to meet with our team and we'll propose our solution for you. What time's good for you? Booked an appointment, was on my business partner's calendar. We sold the deal. It's going to be a very nice contract. And not a single human at Excite had to touch it until it was time for the creativity to shine. We
Mm,
got through all the, is this a real lead? Is it not a lead? What does it mean to sync a billboard? All of the stuff that would have taken human capital that's not creative, just,
hmm.
just note taking, right?
Yeah.
Out of the equation. So for most clients, long answer to your question, that's where I start. Because when they see the aha moment of how well this thing knows their business and answers the questions correctly, they try it to a traditional chatbot and they're like, this isn't even the same thing, bro. This is
Yeah.
not even the same thing. So
Yeah.
typically the entry point, but it
Hmm.
differs for everybody. I had a vet clinic that we had talked about previously that could not find people to answer the phones at night. That was the number one solve she wanted. So for her, we started there. So literally it's about listening to the business, where their pain points are, where their friction is, and then going, I have a solution for that. I'm not going to sell you the whole package. I'm not going to get into the CRM and email campaigns and responding to reviews and social media planning. Let's solve for this one thing, give you confidence that you can trust it, and we're going to
Mm,
go from there.
I would imagine that, I mean, prior to this conversation, you would have had to, the transfer of information, like nothing new is happening. It's just transferring information from one entity to another. And now that this is automated, now you get to create new information together, which I love what you said. I think it was before we started recording, or maybe it was on this podcast, that the work is where people interact with each other, like creating that new information. So I don't know. I feel like there would be resistance to an agency that says we specialize in PPC, we specialize in SEO. You're coming to us because that's what we do. I would imagine that it would be easy to try and fit a square peg through a round hole. And you're saying like, okay, we might forego the, $7,000, budget that can be attributed to all things marketing on the first side, attracting people into the business. And we might just go for this $3,000 offer, which is like answering the phones or an agent that's like a company brain. So it almost seems to me like it might be a sacrifice of short-term revenue in order to gain a long-term relationship.
No, for us, it's packaged together. Like, yes, you need the traffic. Yes, I need to do marketing, but I need to help you deal with those leads in the proper way. Right. So that's why in the initial conversations, one of the first questions I ask is, okay, whether we decide to go down the SEO road, the PPC road, however we're going to decide to drive you traffic, right? Operationally, what is your playbook? What happens? Someone calls. You're a plumber. Someone calls, they need you to come out to their house. What happens? Someone fills out the form on your website. Someone chats with your chatbot. However, whatever entry points you have, someone chats with you on social, someone sends you a DM on Instagram. What is your team operationally doing right now to handle those? Because whether I drive more traffic or not isn't going to be a question. That's easy. I can pull a million levers to do that. Can your team physically handle the influx that might happen if you spend $7,000? Is it going to return on itself because you can handle getting people through your pipeline? How long is your sales cycle, right? So that's literally my first question. What's your playbook? Right now, today, what is the playbook that happens inside of your business when whatever entry point people find you, what happens, right? And then you can start plugging and playing, whether this is an AI solution, whether this is a email campaign solution, whether this is let's drive some more pay-per-click. You just don't have enough traffic, right? So it just helps us present our solution at the same time. You don't have anything on your website outside of your phone number and your form. And from your Google Analytics metrics and in our first conversation, only about 20% of the traffic that comes to your website actually does something about it. Why? Do we have enough entry points? Let me put a chatbot. Let me put this. Let's try this. Let's try an automated form, right? Whatever the solution is, like, try to get your fingers in a little bit operationally, not only from a stickiness standpoint, but so that I don't have to defend that I spent the $7,000 in pay-per-click and brought you 600 people to the website, but you only got one phone call, right? Like, why? Content wrong, keywords wrong, who knows what's going on? Let's solve for the fundamental, like, pre-podcast, right? You sent me a list of questions we might talk about today. And you said, I think one of them was something about you started your career on the yellow pages and how has the world changed? To the client, it hasn't changed at all. I'm spending X, make my phone ring, right? But even back in the yellow page days, call recording wasn't a thing till the end of the yellow page days, right? So what was I doing? Defending that you had the front cover of the damn book and I don't know, I didn't get any more sales this year, right? Fundamentally, to a client, the world hasn't changed at all in marketing. I need to get more business. Help me do that. Pull whatever lever that is, right? But where it's changing in my mind is maybe that was always cart before the horse. Are you even operationally ready to handle leads? Are you efficiently handling the ones you're getting now, or are you burning some of them, right? You had good leads that fell through the cracks, fell through your CRM, missed an email follow-up, your sales team didn't do their job right, whatever, right? Like, how do I make your people more efficient? And whether or not that's an AI solution, who knows? It could be, but that's where the discussion in my mind has to start.
Hey, we hope you're enjoying the coffee and the conversation so far. This show is powered by Digital Web Solutions. And if you've ever wondered how the biggest brands actually build authority, this is it. DWS has a massive network of over 250,000 publishers, real sites that help you rank on Google, and more importantly, stay visible in AI search. It's the heavy lifting most teams just can't do on their own. As a thank you for listening, they're offering an exclusive free strategy call just for our eCoffee listeners. It's a great way to map out your authority plan for 2026. Just click the link below to book yours and see how they can help scale your brand. All right, now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, man. And you're talking about like, is a company the people that work together, or is a company the process? The answer is obviously somewhere in between, right? It's both. But it sounds like, to me, you have to have sound processes, and you as a leader, as a visionary, can help develop those processes. But you're also trusting the people that you bring in, the people that surround yourself and wear the shirt and are under the umbrella. You're trusting that they have the same intentions, creativity, the same, that they're rowing in the same direction. And okay, take that thought and partner it with, we can use AI to be more efficient and therefore cut down on headcount and therefore cut down on our monthly, admin or HR expenses. Are you thinking about expanding the team? Are you thinking about becoming more lean? I mean, how are you recruiting? All of that. Tell me about it. In our manifesto, one of the biggest things that we talk about is that we believe AI is not a replacement for people, right? It is not. It is not a replacement for people, strategy, creativity, or relationships, right? It can help teams organize information. It can help people respond more consistently, summarize conversations, uncover insights that a human would have done, but taken more time to do, right? So for our philosophy, it has nothing to do with headcount reduction. That's a bad word in our world, right? Like, I am not pitching this to clients. Like, you can fire the people who answer your phones if you use my AI agent. That's not what's going to happen. And why? Because I don't care how awesome the technology is. It is not going to replace a person. At some point, the person is going to have to take over and get involved. And so the sales point for my team internally, as well as how we pitch this to clients, is this isn't about headcount reduction. It's about what you ask any business owner. I don't care if it's Joe the plumber to Nike to big corporations to Ford, whatever, doesn't matter. You ask them, well, what makes you different than Chevy? What makes you different from Fred the plumber? They're going to talk about what they're passionate about, right? Any plumber can come unclog a toilet. Any plumber can come fix the sink, right? And I'm not talking about sales attributes like, oh, we promise to be there in 20 minutes. I'm not talking about stuff like that. I'm talking about core foundation philosophy things, right? And so when you get to that, most of it boils down to the way that they treat you, the way that they talk to you. We're going to respect your home and clean up after we leave, right? All of these different things, they're going to talk about humanistic things. So to our team, it's about, I need us to scale revenue. I would love to double our client count in the next year without increasing headcount. So my challenge to the team is, how do we do that? How do we double our clients without increasing headcount? Where can we be more efficient? Whether it's AI or some other tool, what is the friction in your life that if I gave you 20 of your time back to be more creative, to be more strategic, right? What could that do for you? What could that mean for our business? Because Excite, we always say that our people are what matter. We're not like a traditional agency that sort of automates monthly reporting. Like, we are true. You'd said it earlier. It sounds like I'm moving into a partnership. We've always been that. I want to know what your revenue is. I want to know what your struggles are, right? And now this is just another layer of that. And so if I could give you anyone on my team, like my little brother who's in charge of all of our optimization team, we do all of our pay-per-click optimization and social media, paid social media stuff in-house. So I've got a team of optimizers that's what they do all day. I said to him, what if I gave you 20% back of your day to help your team manage better, to be more strategic, to keep our clients on the front edge and be far more proactive than we are reactive? What would it mean? And he's like, dude, it'd be awesome. And I said, cool, go solve for that. Go find the time, go find the amount of time in your life you're spending right now that you want back to be more creative. Let's solve it with a tool. Let's solve it with AI. Let's solve it with an automation, a process, something, right? AI is one tool in the belt. It's not, it's powerful and I love it, but it's just one piece, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It could be easy to think that, all right, well, if I have 20% of my time that's now freed up, why don't I just use that to watch Netflix, or, instead of working 8 hours a day, and now I'm only going to work 6. There's this innate assumption that the people you have around you are going to use that time for things that are their gift or their talent set or their interests or their skills, and trusting that it aligns with business objectives. How do you keep the humans incentivized with business objectives so that they don't go, do whatever else that's not contributing to the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna have a different answer to that depending on who you asked, right? I think fundamentally, there are plenty of companies in the world that just have button pushers, right? You give that button pusher 20% back more of their time, they're gonna go watch Netflix, or they're gonna play their guitar, or they're gonna learn, to your point, their talent, their passion. So the real answer, in my mind, long before how do I give you 20% back of your time, is culture. The company culture is where that starts, right? And for us, we're small. We're very close. We're 15 years old, and many of the people here have been here since the beginning. And so we don't have a ton of turnover. Like, this company culture has been created from day one on self-education, self-learning. Our core fundamental is keep Excite's clients on the leading edge of technology, right? Art meets science. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to do anything to be confident that that's happening with my teams, because that culture was already there, right? They already would come to me and say, I really want to go to this conference. Hey, I found the Anthropic class. Can I expense taking that class? Right? So for us, at least, I will say that that culture it's sort of baked in. Now,
Mm,
do people get complacent? 100%, right? Just because AI did something for them doesn't mean they're not gonna get complacent. That's a
yeah.
human being thing, and so one of the things that we've done to combat that is we literally created a committee here of 4 people that we call the Culture Club. Their job is to drive culture for the company, right? It shouldn't just come from me. It shouldn't just come from my business partner. We want people who are leaders in this company helping drive culture, and so when it started, everyone's like, "Oh, Culture Club, they're gonna plan our happy hours." No, it is the culture of this company, aligning business objectives, aligning revenue goals, aligning, yes, fun. We we take our work seriously, we don't take ourselves too seriously, right? So, yes, we have to enjoy our job. Yes, we have to have a good time. We have to be empathetic and compassionate for each other. But we're also all here to do a job. And if that's just me barking it all the time, it's not going to work, right? At some point, that's going to fall on deaf ears. And so when we created the Culture Club, that was their objective. Like, I need you guys to drive this. As the ownership, we're going to tell you what those goals are. We're going to tell you what those business objectives are. And then I'm going to tell you to help me solve for it. Tell me what's in the way of getting here. What do we need to change culturally, fundamentally? What do we need to do to make sure that this can happen?
Mm.
That was a big thing
There's
for us.
Man, the Culture Club is such a cool idea, and I recognize that too. At the most successful companies with the lowest turnover, it really is about the relationship, as you said. It is people first always. If there's a problem in productivity or results or KPIs not being met, it is not a process function. It's typically some sort of internal resistance of the person, that they're not feeling safe, heard, respected, something like that. And to have a specific committee that goes to those people and says, "Hey, how can we make sure that you are contributing and not just here?" Like, man, it makes sense why you're keeping your clients on the cutting edge, and like I would imagine that they're just super excited to embrace. Tell me, as we kind of like near the end of the conversation, I've heard of companies that are adopting AI and they're having these like hackathons or something where it's like a structured organizational initiative where, say, we're going to take a day, a week, whatever. How, like, is that something that you guys did, or was it kind of organic, like wherever you can find the time, go ahead and experiment?
So I would answer that 2 ways. In the beginning, it was organic. Right? And that's when we had to create the manifesto that I've been talking about, because
Hmm.
it got a little without structure, there's chaos, right? And not that anything bad happened, but people were going down rabbit holes that weren't really gonna actually solve a problem or be something other than a, "Look I made a shiny new object,"
Yeah.
right? So the manifesto helped structure that. And so organically, it happened really well, like the programmatic agent I was telling you about. As a small company, we don't have a HR department. We have HR, we have 401k, but all of that lives in the brains of the partners, right? And so again, time saver was people are like, what is our paternity leave policy? How do I do the 401k again? And now I got to go, okay, I'm in the brain of helping a client. Now I got to take that hat off and go, where the hell is that documentation?
Yeah.
Right. And so that organically happened where the team's like, why don't we? You built it for the programmatic. Why don't we build one that's HR? I don't have to feel weird about asking my boss, the owner of the company, these questions because we don't have an HR department. So that was born organically. And now everything is fed this. And then if it needs to get escalated, then a partner gets involved to help make a decision or that kind of thing. But now trust both ways. Someone can go and complain, or someone can go say this. I've got the culture club. I've got the HR bot. I've got all these processes in place where, so a lot of it happened organically. And then we were like, all right, how do we make a shift? Like, instead of 2 or 3 people coming up with a really cool idea, how about all 27 of us? Right. So then that structure was like, started with departments. I'm going to go to my optimization department and go, I challenge you guys this week by next making updates by next Friday, together solve for one thing that sucks in your job. Go to the web dev team, solve for one thing that sucks in your job. Go to the AM team, the sales team. What's one thing that sucks in your job, right? And so that structure allowed teams to get together and now do that. So the structure allowed it, and now we're doing it as a company because the department solved problems. So now you've all solved these problems individually in your department. Now go solve a problem for the company. Right. And so there's the hackathons. And now it's like, okay, cool. Go create something fun. So after we've done those, right? Like, because a lot of us are virtual, we still do virtual happy hours and we use various online games. Well, the Culture Club went and vibe coded a bunch of freaking games that are Xcite born, right? You can feed it trivia questions about everyone who worked here. And now it's like, guess who this employee is, right? They vibe coded it in 5 minutes, gave it the guardrails. And so like, the creativity is spawning out of organization. But I think if you just said full blown hackathon, we saw it kind of going, well, I mean, yes, that's cool, but it's not really moving the needle for us. So structure first, and then creativity exploded from that.
There's this understanding that in order for the company to move quickly, move at the speed of thought is a thing that I've heard. In order for a company to move at the speed of thought, we kind of have to all be in the same petri dish where if we put an electrical signal on one side of the dish, like everything else just moves like that, right? Is that kind of like the core agent, like the core company agent that is a chat widget interface, or is it the Trello board? Like how does the company stay up to date with everything else that's happening in the company?
All hands.
Is that every day?
Biweekly all hands meetings.
Okay, biweekly. Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Human first, right? People first always. So
yeah,
there's some knowledge that can live in Trello. There's some knowledge that can live in other places. But fundamentally, where are we driving the bus? Because AI is changing the world so fast. AEO, GEO, whatever. I mean, the industry can't even decide what the hell to call it. Everyone's rushing to create a solution. The reality is traditional SEO is still the best way to do it, right? Like the reality is LLMs are changing so rapidly. I can't have that change in my mind. I can't have that change from our organization be a document, an email. It is an all hands, and every department gives an update. From the last 2 weeks, here's what happened, right? We started doing them weekly, and that was a little too much. And so we moved them to bi-weekly, and now each department manager gives an update on what's going on in their department, and the company is then allowed to ask them questions. So we tell everybody it's every 2 weeks. So you got 5 to 7 minutes, and we'll do 5 to 7 minutes of questions. Sometimes there's questions, sometimes there's not. So that meeting 15 minutes, or it can be an hour sometimes, right? But we feel like people first always means the thought leaders in this company need to be the one communicating to the rest of the company where we're going, what things are changing, what obstacles they found, what challenges they've overcome. That's how we've decided to do it. Maybe not right for everybody, but that's how we've done it.
Yeah, I love that. There was a tech company I worked for several years ago in Southeast Asia, and they had an all hands meeting at 11 a.m. every day. The founder was in the room, and it was super intense. Some of them could last 15 minutes, and some of them lasted an hour. But I love that, bringing people together just to I think there's an element outside of the results that we're producing for our clients, but there's just this element of being surrounded by people who all have the same mindset, like the same initiative. We're all rowing in the same direction. Yes, we're here working for the company, but really, the company's growth has two limitations. One, the law of the lid, as John Maxwell says, which is the height of the leader. But two, like there's the floor. It's only as good as the weakest link. If we're talking about like a soccer team versus a basketball team, the soccer team is only as good as its weakest player. And I think there's elements of both, whereas an agency works more like a soccer team than a basketball team, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the
We always
superstar.
say we always say two things have to be true. Top down and bottom up bubbling. That's the magic happens in the middle. If it's just top down, here's where we're going, or if it's just bottom up bubbling, this is what sucks about our life and we hate working here, right? But nothing gets done. That magic spot, if you call it the sunrise or the horizon when the sun goes down, like bottom up meets the top down, that's where the
Mm.
magic happens.
The horizon. All right, I'm taking that one to the bank. Clint, where can we learn more about you? Where can we learn more about Excite? And how do you prefer people reach out to you to engage further?
Our website's probably the best place, theexcitegroup.com. And if you listened to the podcast and liked it, I would say the best way to contact me is literally go kick the AI, right? Kick the tires, try it. All of our forms are answered by AI. The phones are answered by AI. If you fill out a
Yeah.
form on our website, Sophia's going to email you immediately and ask you more questions. Like the chat is all AI. Like our process is pretty awesome. And one of my favorite things, that the IT company that I told you the story about, couple 20-minute conversation and 4 weeks back and forth, she thought it was a person. She got on and she said, "Your sales lady is amazing."
No
And I'm
way.
like, she's AI." She's like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay, well, I need your help with pay per click, but I also want that."
Yeah. 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 And
The
I
greatest
noticed that
way to
you.
sell it, right, is for people to experience it and then go, "That did not feel like AI." Right? And there's a lot of things out
Mm,
there. Go high level, there's a lot of things. The biggest mistake people make is not training it correctly, right? Back to the
mhm.
beginning. Knowledge lives in silos. If you don't figure out how the work happens, I can't train the AI to be good. It's going to be bad and it's going to be a chatbot like everything else. And people are going to be like, this AI sucks. It doesn't work. Well,
Yeah.
the AI didn't suck. It's because you didn't you didn't train it how to do its job. You have
Mm,
to treat AI like you would a real person. If I hired you tomorrow to come work at Excite, I cannot hand you the keys to the office and be like, all right, you're managing the pay-per-click team, right? No, you don't know how we work. Even if you're familiar with Google Ads, you don't know our systems, our processes. I have to train you on that. AI is the exact same way. If I don't treat it like it's a new employee, a person whose job it is to do this task, like a chatbot, I need you to know everything about Excite. If I hired a person to answer my phones, there is no way that that person inside of 2 years could know everything that Excite sells, who we are, our case studies. That person couldn't do it. It would just be a phone taker that said, "Hi, how can I help you? You're interested in a website? Can I get your name and number and I'll have our sales team call you?" Right? That's what it would be. Where
yeah.
now Sophia knows everything about this business more than I do. And I started the
Hmm.
company, right? So when they experience that, holy crap, this can actually happen where I couldn't even teach a human to do that, right? Good. Now that person that I had answering phone calls or responding, because we're lean and mean, that person who was responding to our leads, cool. Now you have more time to go work on strategy, not seeing if this is a valid lead that we actually can get to strategy and creativity for, right? You're
Mm,
wasting time coaching it through the process. Is this a lead or is this a tire kicker? I've
mm.
used human capital where it didn't need to be. Now you have more time to go be creative and create this proposal for this IT company because you didn't spend the last 4 weeks emailing back and forth all these questions, right?
Yeah.
So to me, that's the fun part. But yeah, that's where I'd say that's the best way to get a hold of us.
And you know what I appreciate about your website is that you actually encourage people and you tell them that it's AI. You don't try and like cover it up, right?
No,
Yeah, you're
not at
like
all.
everything we do is AI enabled, and we're looking forward to talking to you if you're ready and when you're
Yep,
ready, right?
100%.
Yeah. Let me end on a technical question. So you're talking about aggregating all of this data across the company. It's got to live somewhere. There are a lot of different solutions. I'm curious what you use for like a data warehouse. Is it BigQuery? Is it, where do AWS? How do you store all this information?
It's all in the AI powered CRM that we created.
Yeah.
then there's automations, right? Like, it's a whole
Yeah.
workforce. Like, at some point offline, we could jump
Yeah.
on for 20 minutes. I could show you how it works. But literally, I've got a social media manager, right? And a reputation manager, and then the brand manager. The brand manager holds all the logo files, fonts, colors, and the social media planner. Again, people are creative, but I don't need a person that I want to be creative to create the social media calendar. So the social media manager is trained on, here are the 12 topics I want going out this month, schedule them out for me and assign them to the team members to have them written, right? The reputation manager, like, AI responds to all my reviews. She's been very strictly trained on my voice. I fed her every review response that I've done for 15 years. And then she goes to the brand manager and makes sure tone of voice is good. So the AI employees are working together with a
Mm,
hierarchy to function as a task.
mm. Yeah. So yeah, I think the misconception is that it's all like centralized into one 4,000 page document. And that's not the case. It's segmented and they communicate well enough to get the
But it all
context that
lives in
they
the
need
exact same system.
in the exact same system.
And over the top of it, imagine an interface that's not dissimilar to any other LLM. I have the main AI agent that has access to everything. So I can go in and say, hey, all of our meetings are recorded by the AI assistant who just automatically shows up, does sales scoring, BANT sales scoring, all of that, and stores all of the notes, takeaways. It can send you the, hey, here are the takeaways you said you had to do, Austin. So don't forget when you send your email to Klint, these are what you were supposed to send, right? And so efficiency, right? I don't have to go back. I can be present because I'm not taking notes in our meeting because I know that it's going to send me a summary of the key takeaways that I have to follow up on, right?
Yeah.
Well, all of those things to say that chat interface over the top that has access to everything is the brain. And now I can go ask it, based on my last quarter's company meetings with our clients, show me the 5 clients that have a risk for churn. It's going to go analyze all the meeting notes. It's going to look at all the things we put in the CRM for budget changes, all of those kind of things, and surface and go, these are the 3 your team should go look at.
And who has access to that main orchestrator agent?
Owners and managers.
Okay, cool. That's clear. And if anybody wants to know about this centralized platform on top of that kind of, that can coordinate everything, Klint has posted several times on his LinkedIn about it. So you can go there and engage and learn more about what we're talking about here.
Indeed.
Klint, thanks for being a great guest. I appreciate you. I got a lot out of this conversation, mostly keeping humans first. I am just as enthusiastic about AI as I feel that you are. And I know that that relationships are where the future is going to go. Once the robots eat the babies and we're all like left with nothing, all we'll have is each other. So I'm just as eager for those days too. So thank you for being
Yep.
here.
People first always and use it responsibly.
That's right.
Austin,
Cheers.
thanks so much, man. I had a great time.
Me too.